If the work is what you're supposed to be doing, it doesn't feel like work.
It's true.
Therefore, you're not going to work hard.
Yeah.
You'll never work a day in the life, to quote Henry Ford. Dude, speaking of Henry Ford, man, did you ever watch The Cars That Built America?
No.
He was an absolute prick.
What? Oh, I believe it.
Gosh.
Yeah. My wife and I joke around about the people who get done the most in the world are not very fond people that you want to be around. Because I struggle with this. I'm like, I really want to push hard. And I'm like, I'm competitive, but I'm not cutthroat. Yeah. It's just not me. I'm not going to like chop people down to a million pieces. Like Gary used to talk about, rip someone else's building down to put your big building up. I'm just not that way. And some are just absolutely ruthless.
This is the Mostly Middle Tennessee Business Podcast, a podcast about Middle Tennessee business owners and professionals.
Yeah, most of them. Most. As always, thank you, Mr. Matt Wilson. He's actually, if you haven't been listening lately, he's relaunched another podcast idea of his called Mostly Grief. And he talks about the grieving process. He lost his wife back in 2022. And really, this particular podcast that he started is really starting to take off because, let's face it, I mean, grief and how to deal with it hits us all at some point in our lives. And what a great way to start a podcast episode talking about death. But yes, you're listening to the Mostly Middle Tennessee Business Podcast. I am your host, Jim McCarthy, with it'syourshow.co, and it does come from the it'syourshow.co studios, powered by Muletown Bikes. Go see my buddy Vinny down there on the square in Columbia, especially if you've gotten into, you see a lot of e-bikes these days. Are you seeing a lot?
Man. I
call them e-biker gangs.
Yeah, dude. Yeah, 16-year-old e-biker gangs. Yeah, dude.
Sometimes they're like 12 and 13.
Savages.
Right.
Yeah.
But the thing is that, at least they're outside.
That's very true, man. They could be inside playing Minecraft.
Right. And I think a lot of it is good because it's what we used to do.
That's right.
I mean,
very true.
Didn't you have a BMX when you were growing up?
I did, man. Yeah.
Did you build bike ramps out of bricks and planks of wood?
Oh yeah, dude. All of it.
You learn the art of physics the hard way.
Yeah.
So that voice you're hearing today, if you're a business owner, especially here in Middle Tennessee, which is mainly who we focus on, if you feel like nobody knows your struggle and you have a lot of you're going through the mud, as it were, there's a lot of people going through the mud right now, I think.
Yeah.
Would you agree?
There's an insane amount of uncertainty in the world that we live in today, especially in business.
It's not 2016 anymore.
No.
2016, 17, 18, 19. Those were good years.
Yeah.
Yeah. We're long past that.
Yeah.
I think there's a lot of Vaynerchuk he talks about people getting punched in the face. And I think there's a lot of people getting punched in the face now.
Yeah.
But as long as you're acknowledging it and you're talking about it and making them feel like they're not alone, I think a lot of people can kind of weather that, which is something you've done. So welcome to the show, Mr. Nick Cavuoto.
Thank you, man. Appreciate it.
Did I say your last name right?
You did, man.
Nice.
Absolutely. Just like Neil, but
yeah,
I get a little confused sometimes. People, Neil and Nick, So.
Are you originally from the area?
Originally from New York. So born and raised, and then went to college in South Florida, moved to Denver, Colorado for about 7 years, and then came here to Nashville, Franklin area in 2022.
Where in New York?
Buffalo, Rochester area.
Okay.
Go Bills.
Yes.
Yeah.
See, a lot of people would say that's just Canada.
Yeah, basically. Closer to Canada than New York City.
Right.
Yeah.
And you grew up there?
Yeah, I grew up there. So born and raised. My dad was a drug dealer who found Jesus. So that gives you a concept of how the story started. And my mom, she, very humble beginnings. She grew up on welfare and, had to figure it out. Her dad left when she was 9 and her mom struggled with some mental health things. And so basically she was the oldest of the kids. And so she had to step up. And it's just amazing, the story of resilience and just kind of the pedigree that I come from of two very hardworking people who really, I think their best efforts were to just give us a better life than they had and to distill the lessons and the principles down into some quotable teachings and different things around faith or the journey of life and business. My dad was a street pharmacist, so called an entrepreneur. My grandfather owned multiple businesses. So this has been really in our lineage for a long time, in the service business specifically. And so, yeah, man, that's really where things started for me. The youngest of 3 boys. So it gives you birth order if anyone's doing the psychology on
So you had it the easiest.
I had it the easiest, the most independent. You know, my parents had a conversation with me at like 15. They were like, you know what? We trust you. Just please don't die. You know, basically.
Don't make us look bad.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Just, just get out there and kind of go live your life and do your thing. And so I actually found a lot of permission in that. And it was really exciting at those seasons of my life to feel trusted, to go make mistakes, but also to do the right thing. And so, yeah, it's just been a wild part of my story. But
what was the psychology when you, like, you know, everyone talks about making mistakes. I mean, I always hear the notion, and as I get older, when I hear this notion, it makes me start to question it. Like, everybody wants a better life for their kids than they had.
mm-hmm.
And it's like, you know, we're kind of in the society and culture right now where it's like that, and it's not pretty.
Oh, dude.
You know what I mean? There's no struggle. There's no, you know, what they understand is struggle. It's not real struggle.
Yeah.
There's not suffering, you know?
Yep.
It's just an interesting time because we've given them a better life than what we've come up with. And I don't like it.
Yeah. No, I'm with you. I mean, I'm 39. I'm not too far away from like the next generation. I kind of like play the big brother position to a lot of the younger guys who are in their early 20s building businesses, because I'm not dad's age, but I'm certainly not their age. I'm just one step ahead. And it is certainly the most over-celebrated, over-coddled generation I've ever seen. I do think that there is a aspect of, if they respect you, they'll listen to you. I think that's a very real thing. But they're also their gauge for BS is, I think, a little bit
it's
lower.
highly attuned.
Yeah, it's very attuned.
Yeah.
And so their tolerance rather for it is very low, but they're very attuned to it. So they're more direct, I think, in many ways. But, you know, for me, a part of learning the journey of struggle was like, that is what my dad learned. And that's what he instilled in us. You know, my dad went from being a drug dealer, you know, one of the biggest drug dealers in the United States, number one in New York. I mean, this is huge level of operation, like picking up tractor trailers from Arizona and driving them to New York. We're talking huge operation. And he went from that lifestyle of having 27 cars by the time he was 27 years old to working for my grandfather at a 7-Eleven for $1 an hour.
Really?
Yeah. That was his journey. And he had to relearn, because my grandfather told him, like, you don't respect money. You have to reconfigure your life around understanding the value of $1 and what it takes to make it. So you can imagine being just, you know, that's my dad's a one generation extended. All of those lessons were instilled in us because my dad started kind of working for my grandfather a few years before the kids were born.
Yeah.
And so he just had to figure it out and didn't have a lot of options either. And so in today's world, I think a lot of people think they have a lot of options. And so when the work gets hard, meaning when it turns from being fun to being into work, I think the tolerance for that is very low. And so it's like, well, I'll just go do something different, better somewhere else, or I'll go try it on my own. And, you know, Gary Vee talks a lot about being on mom and dad's payroll. Like, if you're going to do it on your own and you want it to have that title of being an entrepreneur, like, do it on your own. Stop taking money from everybody else. And so the ones who I've seen are still playing both sides of the equation, like trying to get the job, but then mom and dad are paying for the car and the phone and the rent and the utilities and everything else. And that's where I'm just like, no, I only have one boy. I have 3 girls and 1 boy. But for my son, this is the constant conversation of like, your life is going to be hard. Let me just set the stage for you. You don't want to take the trash out. I remember he was like 5 years old. We're out taking the trash and he's crying, Daddy, I don't want to do this. I'm like, this is going to be for the rest of your life, doing the things that nobody else wants to do. Let me just teach you and train you now. Like, this is how it's going to be so that everyone else can be happy. But for you and I, we're going to embrace all the hard things. And we're just going to focus on being proud of ourselves for doing them, because that's just what we do. Like Aaron Stokes, incredible guy. I don't know if you know Aaron or knew him.
I was aware of him, and I've never met him, but
incredible guy.
I remember when he advertised back when I was in radio.
Yeah.
06, 07, 08, when Eurofix started becoming a thing. So
yeah.
He's a staple. When
he passed away, I was at his funeral, and his wife said, you know, we have a motto in our family, which is the Stokes do hard things. And I was like, holy cow, that's like so aligned with what I've been teaching my kids. And certainly my son, I just put him on the gauntlet of it. But it's like, hey, we're going to do hard things. And that's our aim. Life's hard. School's going to be hard. Relationships will be hard. Everything's going to be hard. It's just kind of like choose your hard. You want, you know, the hard life of doing the right thing. You want the hard life of doing the wrong thing. And so to me, it's simplistic in nature, but I think that's what's missing currently for my younger brothers who might be listening is the grit. And, you know, the entitlement is a mind virus in and of itself. You're not entitled to anything. Like, you got to earn your position, your opportunity. And you don't just come out of high school and go make six figures the next day. Like, that's just a pipe dream that someone sold you that is just simply not true. Some do it. Yeah. Absolutely. But for 99.9%, that's just not going to be the case.
Every great podcast starts with an idea, but turning that idea into a professional show, that's where we come in. At it'syourshow.co, we specialize in the highest quality podcast production and short-form video content. Record your show in our fully equipped studio, or if you need us to come to you, we'll bring the studio experience wherever you are. We could even help you build your own. With it'syourshow.co, you're working with an award-winning team who's been creating content pretty much since 1997. So whether you're a business, creator, entrepreneur, or storyteller, we make the production process simple so you can focus on what matters most, your show. Take advantage of our summer special and lay out your messaging starting at only $97 an hour. It's your show with our expertise. My kids and us, my wife and I, have an overly communicative relationship. And I think that was one of the keys to, dare I say, their success. Like, sometimes too communicative, where it's like, yeah, you don't need to be telling me this. But I think a lot of that is tempered. Like, I don't mind them being on the payroll because they don't really give us too much crap. But when they do, and it's like, hey, if you're not going to do this, then you can figure out your own cell phone plan.
Yeah, totally.
You know, if you're going to, turn off your location, then do it on your own plan, not mine.
Absolutely.
This is part of the deal. But I think ultimately for us, for me especially, kudos to Gary Vee, I was huge on self-awareness for them. I said, I don't care if you go to college, you have to graduate high school. That's a requirement.
Yep.
And anybody can do that.
Yep.
College isn't for everybody, and that's okay. My daughter right now is going through a season where it's a little bit challenging for her, and what came easy is now very difficult. It's very hard. I always taught them, I said, even though it may be hard, taking out the garbage can be joyful. What's the one joy that you can identify that you can kind of hold on to? I said, it's not get great at doing things you hate.
Yeah.
As Cardone used to say.
Yep.
I said, crap, I did that. I was an electrician's apprentice back in 2021 when I was around that age, and getting up every morning sucked.
Yeah.
I hated it. I didn't like it at all. But man, it comes in handy now.
Sure does.
But back then I was also, that's what really propelled me to get into radio, is because, well, I might as well do something I like, and it wasn't as hard because that could be tempered. It doesn't feel like work. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Brad Lee talks about why work hard. If the work is what you're supposed to be doing, it doesn't feel like work.
It's true.
Therefore, you're not going to work hard.
Yeah.
You'll never work a day in the life, to quote Henry Ford. Dude, speaking of Henry Ford, man, did you ever watch The Cars That Built America?
No.
He was an absolute prick.
What? Oh, I believe it.
Gosh.
Yeah. My wife and I joke around about the people who get done the most in the world are not very fond people that you want to be around. Because I struggle with this. I'm like, I really want to push hard. And I'm like, I'm competitive, but I'm not cutthroat. Yeah. It's just not me. I'm not going to like chop people down to a million pieces. Like Gary used to talk about, rip someone else's building down to put your big building up. I'm just not that way. And some are just absolutely ruthless.
Yeah. And it's like, there's no need for it.
Yeah, no, she's like, yeah, in the ocean full of fish and sharks, be a shark. That's the concept. And it's like, whew, I don't know. I'll be a shark, maybe in a different way. I don't know.
But they're still, what are sharks ultimately? They're scavengers.
Yeah, they're predators, man. Scavengers. Yeah.
They don't rule the sea.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, they're formidable.
Yeah.
But I mean, at the end of the day, you're still a scavenger.
Yeah.
It's like being a hitman for the mafia.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You'd rather be the Don.
That's right. That's right. Speaking of politics now.
Yeah. Well, getting into, your story and stuff like that, you started, you had the family that built the foundation for an entrepreneurial bug.
Yeah.
And then you got bit by it when you were 19.
In a way, yeah, man. I mean, I was in college in South Florida, small private Christian school, Palm Beach Atlantic University. and was in college, and I failed out of college for the second time when I was 19. And I really attribute that to a lack of direction.
You didn't know your why.
Yeah, I didn't know my why. I didn't know what I was there for, except for the girl to guy ratio was 8-1. So I was like, that's a pretty good school to go to. And my best friend from high school went there. And so I was like, I get to hang with my buddy. It's going to be fun. And at the same time too, I knew that I needed to leave home because just the people I was around, it was starting to get obvious to me that like my habits and my choices were declining. So, the funny example of that is, you sometimes will leave a location to get away from the people that you're around, assuming that they're the problem, but you bring yourself with you. And then you kind of repeat the same issues and the same problems again. And so a little bit of that was happening. But at the same time, fell out of school, the 1.6 GPA, didn't know my why, didn't know why I was there, what I was doing. And I remember the phone call with my dad vividly. I was sitting in my car outside my apartment and I called my dad and I was like, hey man, so here's the deal. This is where I'm at. What do I do? And he said, you need to learn how to serve. And he's like, and what I mean by that is you need to learn how to serve something that's bigger than you. It comes down to the same principle of knowing your why. And so I said, okay, so how do I do that? And he was like, well, you're going to come back if you want to. You come back home and I'm going to get you hooked up at our church. And I'm going to give you an opportunity to volunteer there. And we're going to start there.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, then that's what I'll do. I was out of options, man. I was like, had no idea what I was going to do with my life. So I went back home and I did that. And so
were you kind of down and dejected in a way? Was there a psychological aspect that made you, how'd you wake up every day?
What do you mean?
Just in terms of like, hey, I'm kind of going back to home base.
Oh, I didn't think twice. I was gone 3 days.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah.
So you only went up there briefly?
Oh, no, I was like, I'm out. I was in college, fouled out.
Yeah.
I'm like, now what? My dad's like, do this. I'm like, okay. So I packed my stuff. My brother flew down. And it was like on a Wednesday. And like by Saturday morning, I'm driving home.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So, I mean, even that time, when you go back there, what was like, because, I went through something similar.
Yeah.
Where college didn't work out.
Yeah.
Didn't know why I was going. Not strong enough to keep me performing. And then I went to go I sold rainbow vacuums for a season. Mm-hmm. Then I worked at a place that sold pool tables and high-end patio furniture. And not much foot traffic, didn't really understand prospecting and things of that nature. Not much training. Hey, here's some brochures, read the brochures.
Yeah.
And then eventually I made my biggest sale and then they fired me. My father was like, all right, come work for me.
Yeah.
And I learned a trade with the phone business. Similar story in a way,
mm-hmm.
but I remember those first couple of days going, where the hell am I going?
Yeah.
I've got no lighthouse. There's no North Star. I mean, I guess this will work. Was it kind of like that?
Dude, I was just happy to have an option.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm a really intuitive person. So sometimes it's just trusting the path. I can do that very, very easily, even without the answers of what's on the other side. I can just trust the path and just step into it. And at that time too, I'm 19. I don't really have any responsibilities and, whatever. So
you don't take that into consideration at 19.
No, not at all.
You got the way, it's one of the worst parts of people's, it's something I tell my kids all the time. You're 19.
Yeah.
My daughter came home the other day. She said, I feel like such a disappointment. I said, stop right there. You know better than that. I didn't teach you that. I've completely spoke against the actual antithesis of everything I've ever taught you was based on this is the age where you got to eat dirt.
Yeah.
Just because you feel like you're failing doesn't make you a failure.
Right.
Stop. Failing's good.
Yeah.
It just puts you on the right path. It forces you to find a way.
Yeah. It's just like confusion is the way to clarity. You got to be confused in order to have the pain of then the desire to get clear. And I think that was true to the story. I didn't, for me, I didn't feel like a disappointment. I just felt completely like I was wandering and I had a radio and someone answered the call. And so I'm like, okay, I guess I'll go the way they're telling me to go. And so I did. I ended up 19 years old, volunteering as an intern. 2 years later, I got hired to full-time staff there. And over the next 5 years, I built 6 campuses, grew the church from 1,000 to 10,000 people every weekend with the community of people who we were serving there. got ordained as a pastor, all that kind of stuff. So what's really wild is I went from absolutely no direction to just serving. From serving, I was immersed in an environment that allowed me to be exposed to it was run like a startup. So like when you grow that quickly and you have a lot of really powerful people, meaning really good at what they do, gaining popularity and prominence on the personal brand side, whatever. When that organization starts moving, you flow with it. Oh, wow. That's a big ass spider.
Oh, is it a spider?
Flick it.
Yeah, flick him. There he goes.
That was a black and white one. Man.
I don't know what that means.
I hope it doesn't kill me. No. So yeah, going through that scenario and then growing in that organization, was a really timely thing for me. And I ended up going back to school and I ended up finishing after I exited ministry and graduated 3.8 GPA. I knew exactly what I was doing. My daughter had turned 1.
It's amazing how that happens.
Isn't that interesting?
And it was on your own dime?
All of the school was on my own dime. My parents, even when I left, they were like, we're not paying for this crap. We don't know what you're going to go do. They knew better. They knew better, man.
I went back to school and man, I aced it.
Oh yeah, dude. And it was so simple. I actually tested out of a whole entire year's worth of classes because I had so much practical knowledge in the subjects that I was learning on marketing, different things. I'm like, I've been running Facebook ads since 2009 and I'm 2016 going back to finishing college. Anyways, it's fascinating. But, the thing that was interesting that people ask me about is like, well, why did you leave ministry? And pretty simple scenario there. I told the lead pastor that I wanted to go to Hillsong College. And I was like, I want to go there because I feel like I need to get my degree in ministry. This is now before I actually went to school for marketing and economics, which I got my degree in. And he wouldn't let me go. He was like, you don't need to go. You already learned everything. And I'm like, no, I understand. But like, this is really important. It's something that I really feel I need to do. Yeah. He's like, no, I get that, but you don't need to. You can just stay here. And I'm like, okay, I don't think he's hearing me. I feel compelled at a visceral cellular level to go do this. And he's like, okay, well, if that's your decision, that's your decision. Over the next 2 weeks, he removed me as number 2 in the organization, reassigned me to marketing in the organization, brand and marketing, which is hilarious. And through that pathway, he refused to sign the paperwork to send me because you had to have basically an endorsement to go. And I remember Bob Goff was speaking in the weekend that I quit. It was the weekend of my birthday in 2014. And Bob Goff spoke about being happy. And for the first time in my life, I experienced anxiety. I didn't even know what anxiety was. Mm-hmm. I was under my desk at a church, having a full-blown panic attack. I thought I was dying. I seriously, I had no idea what was happening. And I was walking through kind of like the main lobby area and just all these people are saying hi and whatever. And you're walking through and I just felt this thing kind of coming over me. So I went in the thing and then I'm like, I'm freaking out. I think I'm dying. So I got under my desk. I didn't know what to do. And the thing that really kind of cracked my brain, I think, was I started realizing that the people that I came to serve had just been a cog in the wheel to kind of build something that almost was self-absorbed in and of itself. It wasn't really for them. I mean, it was, but not really. When churches and organizations grow that big, it really becomes around the operations and the numbers and all the technical, tactical things about growth, and it loses its humanity. Right. And I think that fracture is what made my brain crack.
You kind of realized it was a business after all.
Yeah. And I don't even know if I'd say like that even it being a business was a bad thing. Right. I think what I really felt was a deep sense of empathy for the people who did not understand that. They were truly there to do the soup kitchen or to hand out food bags. And they're just like, I just want to be here and help. And I had this confronting reality of like the person who just wants to simply be a part of something and they're looking for meaning. And the person who's going, we need more people to do X, Y, and Z and just kind of like put a butt in a seat. And that contrast for me was, I think, too much for my brain to handle. Yeah. It was kind of like the business side, but also the depth of what was valued wasn't about the human soul anymore. And I was like, I can't do this. And I literally walked out of there and never went back. That was how it ended.
Would you say that's church hurt?
I mean, probably. I mean, I was definitely, I definitely experienced a lot of challenge around that, especially for the next few years.
You and I have a very parallel story.
Is that interesting? Yeah.
Because the same thing happened to me.
Yeah.
My wife wasn't a fan of organized religion to begin with.
Yeah.
We're both believers, and I always knew I would get around to it. Got around to it, started going to a church, took my kids. Oddly enough, you know who Josh Howerton is?
No.
Okay. You know who he is? Yeah. Off camera, your manager is nodding your head. But he's come to significant prominence here recently on social media. I mean, massive following. But he was a pastor at the church I went to.
Wow.
Young, charismatic, good-looking dude, could preach till the freaking cows came home. And I knew my naivete in that environment was, well, hey, all of you are acutely aware of your own sin. So therefore, because my wife doesn't come with me, well, why doesn't she come with you? Well, she doesn't want to go. She doesn't believe in this kind of thing. She believes in God, but she doesn't buy into this.
Yeah.
I said, on the other hand, I like it. I want to bring my kids and blah, blah, blah. Well, we got to get her here. I said, better yet, why don't you meet her where she is? And that some women would and stuff like that, but had a change in life, and it was like crickets.
Yeah.
So I had to drop out, and, hardly anybody reached out. And it was like, okay. But that's honestly where we found God in our lives, was at that point.
For sure, man.
Oddly enough.
And not every church is like that, but unfortunately most of the larger ones are. And they work really hard to get people in small groups so they have a closer sense of community. But, you
haven't been back to the church ever since, really?
No.
Wow.
Never.
Is it like PTSD for you?
No, not at all. I'm so much more intentional about my life at this point. Number one, it's in New York. Number two, the founders are gone. Number three, why? Like, to me, I settled, in 2021, I did 100 therapy sessions in a year. Because I just wanted to unearth anything in my life that could be still there from different experiences that I had. And so I was just like, okay, what's a ridiculous number of like cognitive therapy that you could do? So I was like, I'll do 100 of them. And so I went twice a week, every week for 50 weeks. And most people wouldn't even think to do that. I'm like, no, because the next season of my life, whatever that looks like, is going to require a different version of me. So I might as well just face it head on and, mess with the bull, get the horns. That's just how I am in my life. I'm just going to run straight into the thing. So that's what I chose to do. And so I went through a lot of those things. There's disappointment that's real, and that's okay. But I texted the pastor years later and just said, hey, I'm really sorry about how I handled that situation, how I chose to leave. Like, you've invested in my life massively. And I would not be the person who I am today without him. I mean, when I was 19, I was hanging around a guy who would be like a startup CEO that you'd see on TV now. Like, to have that exposure that early was amazing. And he trusted me. And I trusted him. And we had a difference of opinion. And we both handled it the best way that we knew how. I didn't know his hot button was betrayal. That's what he saw it as. For me, I was just being obedient to what I knew that I was supposed to do.
Right.
So there's a convergence there of those life experiences that were somewhat different. While at the same time, he responded, no problem. He said, it wasn't the relational past that bothered me. It was knowing the depth of God's calling on your life. And I didn't want you to walk away from that. And I said, don't worry, I haven't. Because he saw it in the context of a building. I saw it in context of being in relationship with people who need help, who want to win.
And being obedient.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, to the call.
Absolutely.
And did he apologize as well?
Oh, no.
I gotta love when that happens.
We're talking about a pastor of 10,000 people. Like the profile for those types are typically not very apologetic or humble.
They're typically gaslighting and manipulative.
Yeah. They have a little dose of narcissism for the kingdom.
For the kingdom, in quotes. I worked for a guy who, it was basically my detour coming out of radio, getting into the car business once upon a time. And I worked for him for maybe 2.5 months. Taught me a lot, especially when it came to setting expectations going into an arrangement.
Yeah.
And he was fire happy, and it ended okay. To the point where after, I really enjoyed working with him, but he was kind of a hard-headed, very, like who we talked about, the sharks.
Yeah.
Very shark of a man in the collision business, and built a hell of a business, but he has since passed away, and his business is like you'd never have. People that have lived here will probably, and in that time will go, oh yeah, I remember that jingle on the radio. But I mean, this is like an empire he built. That is like a vapor gone. But I remember reaching out to him saying, hey man, you know, thought of you. And this is actually another habit that I could sort of put into my life with, whenever somebody would pop into my head, I check on him. Yeah. And he popped into my head. It was a couple of months after he let me go. I was with the Honda dealership at the time. I texted him saying, hey man, you popped into my head. Just want to see if you're good. And he actually got back. He says, you know, I'm really sorry with the way things went down. I'm like, you know, good for you. Yeah. I appreciate that. Yeah. I apologize too. And we were good from there.
I've had to go apology tours, even with guys who are on my team. You know, and then other ones were you
know who sees me apologize all the time? My kids.
Oh yeah.
Dude, I apologize to them probably at least once a week.
Yeah. I believe it, man. You know? That is an important one. No doubt about that. Yeah. I just did one last night.
To your
Sorry,
kids?
Daddy got angry.
But it happens. They got to see the humanity of it.
Absolutely. You know? Absolutely. And the ownership of, I talked to them about extreme ownership, you know, and talked to them about taking responsibility. And so now they, even when they apologize to each other, they'll say, I'm sorry, I take responsibility because I've just instilled it so many times. What can I do to make it right? So, but yeah, those are humbling moments. It's challenging, but it's not. I mean, it's so easy because kids are so forgiving. At the same time, you're like, all this self-judgment is what you got to get rid of quickly.
And they're exposed. I talk about pendulum all the time. People hear it. It's right behind me, leaning up against the TV back there. We're in a time of culture where the prevailing attitude is, I'm okay, you're not okay. And that's a lot of what they're consuming from the world on their phones and stuff like that. No, you don't need to apologize to anybody.
Oh God.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And everybody else is a narcissist and you're the one being played and gaslit and everything. That kind of messaging. I think it's dying down.
Yeah, it is.
But man, it was pervasive.
Oh
for
yeah.
a number of years.
Oh yeah. Insane. Totally agree with you. And that's why I love the message of personal responsibility. You know, I met with a monk in 2022. It's a kind of crazy story, but I coming out of a really wild season of life. So 2019, I had a partner split in a business. The business was doing about $1 million a quarter. That thing went basically belly up on a partner split internally. Business partner stole half the business out from underneath me. It was really complicated, but it is what it is. Get to the end of 2019 and I say, okay, God, what do you want me to do? And he said, I want you to pastor entrepreneurs. And I was like, no, I don't want to do that. That's the old with the new. The new thing is giving me new life, new direction. The old thing brought a certain amount of pain and frustration. I don't even want to be at risk of doing how I felt underneath that desk when I was having a panic attack. I don't ever want that risk of doing that to someone else. And it was just kind of like silence of like, I already told you I'm not going to say it again. This is what I want you to do. So I was like, okay, not going to argue with God, move on. Started building masterminds in different groups and launching that. Then COVID hits. I lose $1 million of recurring revenue between leftover agency clients that I had and then live events. So both of those disappeared. Practitioners couldn't practice. Remember 15 days or 14 days to flatten the curve. And then after that, they said, okay, well, unless you're going to die, you can't have surgery. You can't go to the dentist. You can't go to the doctor. You can't do anything. So they were all like, well, there's nothing we can do. So just everything evaporated. 5 years worth of building. It all evaporated overnight. And here I am left at this crux in the road again. And I go, God, I'm smart enough now to understand that this is your problem. So you're going to have to solve this. My hands are open. I'll do whatever you tell me to do, but I'm not going to get all bent out of shape, do whatever. I'm just going to trust that you're going to figure it out. And so the story went on and I ended up rebuilding from that stage and having a lot of success over a short period of time. But one of the things that my mentor told me to do, Tony Grebmeyer, who's out in Colorado when I lived there, I was like, what do I do in this season of life with this circumstance of like a pandemic? And he's like, I don't know. I've never lived through one. But the best advice I could give you is to go encourage 5 people a day. And I was like, okay, are you being serious or is this like a metaphor? Like, are you trying to, he's like, no, I mean, like literally take out your phone, go on Instagram, press a little voice note and just start talking and encourage people. And I was like, okay, then that's what I'll do. It's kind of that blind trust again of trusting the people that are in my life who can see ahead of me to go like, what do you see that I'm not seeing? So I encouraged 5 people a day for 35 days. And what's really wild is I had the biggest sales week of my entire career of 15 years, still to this day, 35 days after encouraging 5 people a day. And I don't think that's a coincidence. Mm-hmm. You know, the funniest thing was out of the however many people however it maths out, 200 people that I encouraged, not one of them bought anything from me. It was other people
watching the stuff.
Yeah, exactly. So what happened was, and Tony Robbins talks about this a lot, is like the internal state determines the story that you tell yourself, which then determines your success. Or in that situation, I was like, I just lost $1 million. I can either have a pity party and poor me, or I can get my butt into action and go do something. So what happened was the internal state changed, and it got me out of I need to sell something into I need to go serve the people who God has called me to serve. That internal state changed the story, the communication, the content that I was creating, which then determined that level of success and magnetism that brought the right people in. So I go back to that a lot because I can go over all these circumstances, scenarios, situations in my life and in my entrepreneurial journey going like, at what moment did the biggest breakthroughs happen? And it always happened through the form of service, true service, detachment, like full detachment. I don't give a crap what happens. I'm going there because God sent me. And with that mandate, I'm going to do what he called me to do. So I've had a few leaders in my life. One of my buddies told me, it was probably a year or two ago, he was like, just take care of the people that God puts in front of you. It's as simple as that. Don't worry about anything else. Just go take care of the people that God puts in front of you. And so that's what I did. And everything works. It's like the craziest dude. It's the most upside down, sideways, and backwards thing, because there will never be a business coach, maybe other than myself, out there who's going like, hey, this is a good methodology to follow, because everything in spirituality works in reverse. Why did the king of the world step down and bend on one knee and wash the nasty feet of his disciples? It doesn't make any sense. And it's like, that's kind of the point. It's supposed to work that way. It's supposed to work in opposition to everything that you know. And I've just followed that part of the journey for my own life. And it seems to be the operating system that works for me. I'm not saying it's for everybody.
Yeah.
I'm just telling you, I know what works for me.
When you say you lost $1 million,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, how did that happen? Is it just in one fell swoop?
Yeah. Basically, they made the announcement and it was, you cannot travel. So there's no travel. These are built on masterminds that are in person.
Right.
So that's gone.
So it was basically expected income.
Oh, yeah. $1 million of recurring revenue. Meaning,
I got you.
I don't know. I was probably doing $80,000, $90,000 a month.
Yeah.
Between the two of those things. All of it gone in the matter of 2 days.
Wow.
So the doctors couldn't practice. That one hit first. Then, oh, by the way, you can't travel. That one hit second. So at that point, I was like, okay. So I went, from that to zero. And I'm just like, okay, this is not my first rodeo.
I mean, you're not freaking out. I mean, at this point, your faith is pretty firmly planted. And
God, I mean, dude, a year prior, my business partner basically ripped everything out from underneath me in the business. So I had already had a really big scare. Had I not had that conversation with God in December of 2019 of where he told me to go do the thing, I probably would have been a lot more nervous. But I have this blind optimism when it comes to faith of just trusting the process. I don't know. I just probably from everything that I learned over the course of life, like watching my parents and the things that they had to do, there's evidence that God will pull through for you. Yeah. And so I could lean on that while at the same time, it felt so big and so impossible to solve. There's this lady who I heard, she said it this way, and she lost her husband who was killed at a soccer game in South Africa. She said, faith isn't faith until it's all you're holding on to.
Right.
So the determination of my faith and or optimism and or my perspective on hope in that situation had to be just, God, you're going to fix it. Because I didn't know what to do.
Yeah.
And some way, shape, or form. I mean, I had a guy contact me on Facebook in our neighborhood and was like, my sister is best friends with your wife's friend, and she told me that you do marketing stuff and that I should look at your content on Facebook. And that guy was running an AI sales company in 2020. And by the end of that same month, he hired me with enough to basically just cover enough.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's probably $8,000 a month. And I'm like, praise Jesus, here we go. And that was the first thing that started kind of rebuilding the success from there. And then I almost made $1 million in a week. So everything that was gone, God restored it, but there was a different version of me that went into that. So that's just kind of the fascinating part about the story and how it functions. But I don't know. You got to have a significant amount of, Elon talks about it too. Like, I'd rather be an optimist than a skeptic. There's a lot of reasons to be a skeptic. He's like, it's just not as fun.
That's true.
Classic Elon.
I mean, a lot of what we're going through now as a business. You talked to John prior to this, my
I met him briefly. Yeah,
Brillo-headed business partner.
Yeah,
he's kind of like that. For me, I mean, I'm 50 years old. He is 43, just turned 43. So he's one of these guys that adopted the term, and we call him the small business pastor.
Yeah.
Like he should be out there. He's got a book that we're about to finish. We finished the audio version of it soon. But on the speaking, like the things that fall out of his mouth will earn him speaking. Speaking gigs, totally. Similar to what happened to Vaynerchuk. I call it, building a planet. You know, you can be a moon or you can be a planet. So they call him the small business pastor. And a lot of one of our biggest pillars of what we believe as a business is there is no crisis.
Mm-hmm.
And it's amazing how freeing, similar to you, he and I were in business in another entity where we had a partnership with another person that kind of went awry.
Yeah.
And had that happened to me 10 years earlier, I would have been a wreck.
Oh yeah.
But it was literally one of those things of like, all right, I just got to go through it. This is what builds grit. This is what builds thicker skin. It gives you, it's not a failure, but it is experience.
Mm-hmm. And
experience leads to wisdom.
Yeah.
And ultimately, anything that you face from here on out, you should have the chutzpah, so to speak, to be able to face it. And, in the last couple of years, like I started off with the podcast saying, it's for a lot of people, it's been a punch in the face. It's been challenging, with interest rates and the economy and how things, the printing of vast amounts of dollars is catching up to us.
Sure is.
You know what I mean? With the inflation. But we're starting to, I think we're coming out of it.
Yeah, I think it's starting to flatten a little bit.
That's what I'm thinking.
Hopefully.
You remember Matt Monero? Did that ring a bell?
Oh, yeah.
He and I had a conversation on a podcast years ago now. Boy, he was a wealth of great information. I wonder whatever happened to him. He remembers a specific day where things felt different. And right out, because he was impacted by the 2008 meltdown, like a lot of people were, millions of people. But he says he remembers their day in 2012 or 2013. Like he remembers that day, something's different.
Yeah.
And it was off to the races.
Wow.
I don't know if I think we kind of had that day, but it's still kind of like, petering along.
Yeah. I think without the,
what's the kind of thing like, is that what you're speaking to with business owners a lot, is kind of like what they're going through, the struggle, going through the mud? It's a necessary exercise.
Yeah. I mean, for sure, man. I very similar to the idea of a crisis. One of the staple points I talk to these entrepreneurs about is that you are not going through a crisis. You're going through an evolution.
Yeah.
And they love this concept because a lot of them feel like they're going through a crisis. Well, metamorphosis, the previous form of, the caterpillar that turns into a butterfly, it actually gets reduced in the cocoon to liquid. It doesn't only die, it loses its entire form and then turns into something different. And so I tell them, like, you solopreneur, and then you get into the other side and you're like now managing a team. Metamorphosis.
Yeah.
You were this way and you could control your world to a certain extent and family life and all that. And you've got to evolve into this guy. Yep. Metamorphosis. You got to die in order to be reborn. I call it death by 1,000 toothpicks. That's what it feels like in business for a lot of these guys. And it's very, very true. So the guys who I'm working with, I mean, are typically, they're owner-led businesses. So owner-operator types. It can be kind of in a vast array of different types of businesses. Anything from like guys who are running media companies or who are consultants. I consulted with a guy who was one of the executives at Apple who went out on his own. Like it could be that type of guy. It could also be a dude in Clarksville who has a window washing company. It can be another guy who's an AI consultant, So like, it doesn't really matter as much what they do as much as the stage of business that they're in and the life stage that they're in. So I think we naturally attract people who are kind of plus or minus 5 years from us. So if I'm 39, it's like I can go to like 34 up to like 44. And that's probably the width of the types of people I'll naturally attract. And then you add like fatherhood in there, the personal, the professional, the spiritual. So I cover all those aspects. But what I'm really obsessed about is the performance of the individual. I cannot literally count how many times I've talked to these guys. They could be running a $3 million company, $8 million company, $5 million, whatever. And they don't have any goals. Like the path is not clear. So I learned from Dr. Peterson. It was like, The tragedy is not that we aim too high and that we miss. It's that we aim too low and we hit the target. So when I talk to them about these principles and I go like, okay, what is this the year of? And they're like, what do you mean? I'm like, what is it the year of? What are you going to accomplish this year? That's a great question. And I'm like, holy crap. Okay. So let's just start here. I want you to talk to me for the next half an hour and tell me what your vision is for your life over the next year, because you clearly haven't even taken 5 seconds to figure it out. And that's okay. But let's just deal with reality. I don't care. There's no judgment in where you're at. Let's just deal with reality.
Is that a common problem? Like
It's a huge thing.
Yeah.
It's disguised like, as consultants will talk about it, or coaches, it'll be like, you need clarity. And then people like don't understand the power of clarity until you get it. And then you're like, oh, this is clear. So step one, I'll sit with them and I'll figure out what their vision is for their business and for their life. And then step two is I take that 12-month process and I collapse it into 90-day sprints. And then I take those 90-day sprints and then I assign them every month. We do a strategy call, basically clarity call. And I tell them, here's what you said you wanted to do. Here is the outline and the process in order to do it. Do you have any questions? And then they'll be like, no. So I basically project manage them. And what I always thought was that they were kind of looking for someone to come alongside them and help them. And Christine, my manager, she made it very clear to me that they weren't asking for you to help them. They were asking you to lead them. And that was a big mind shift for me, because I had been used to being in a second chair with powerful leaders. And I still do that. Like, I have fractional CMO clients that I work with. So I basically run their sales and marketing shop with the CEO. And these guys are mid-market. They're doing 10 to 100 million a year. I do that. That's kind of like the day gig for 2 hours a day, 3-4 hours a day at the most. But then I get to work with these other business owners, and that's the coaching stuff that I really love to do. And I'm a couple pillars. Like, I tell them, number one, right now, call number one, day one, 90 days at minimum from now, or at maximum rather. I need you to book a vacation for your family. And they're like, okay. And I'm like, no, this is the most important thing. Number one, book a vacation for you and your family. Okay. I'm not quite sure how I'm going to do that. I said, I don't give a crap. Book it, put it on your calendar, invite your wife with an invite. You're going to do it. And they're like, okay, this is what they need. They need the iron sharpens iron. They need the non-negotiable things that are going to allow them to be able to produce at the level that they want to produce. But some of these principles, and as simple as they are, of like charting out every 90 days, you have to go on a trip with your family. Don't care, make it happen. To don't show up to the next call without completing the last things that we talked about. You have me available. You have, Christine available. She can support you. You have your team available. But to earn the right to have the next call, you need to do everything we already talked about. So it's a very supportive angle of accountability that I think that they need. And then they call me just to celebrate their wins in between. But dude, it's crazy. We had a guy, he's in his 7th month. Well, let me see, 6th month. He started in December, signed in December, started in January. Every single month for this entire year, he's broken records in his company. He's been in business for 7 years. He's been coaching with me for 6 months. And every month he's broken his revenue record. Every single month. And where he started this year to where he is now, if I do the math in my head, 4, 8, he's up 8x in his revenue in 6 months. But he took a vacation with his family. He's hired the infinite percentage. He was kind of had like 2 guys. I think he's up to almost 10. The amount of growth that's happening with clear direction and momentum. Those are the 2 things that I focus on. You get clarity first, you get momentum second, you'll get the win third. So John Maxwell talks about this momentum principle. Momentum cures 80% of problems inside of a business. 80%. He said, okay, let's say you have a bullet train. If you put a block of wood in front of a train, when it's stopped, it can't move. No matter how much thrust you put behind it, it won't move. Now you take that same train and you put a concrete wall with rebar reinforced while it's going 55 miles an hour, it'll blow through that thing like it didn't even exist. That's how it is in business. You're going to hit things. You're going to hit walls. You're going to hit challenges. The reality is when you have momentum, you'll absolutely crush through those barriers very, very quickly. And that's where I start getting these guys too. The amount of time that's wasted in indecision, not knowing what to do, not knowing who to ask for help is the whole reason why I did this. Because I needed someone like that when I was going through my unique challenges. So I found mentors and I found people to help me.
So you're seeing the label on the bottle of what they're going through.
Absolutely, because I've been through it so many times.
Yeah.
And I'm used to coaching executives or being alongside of executives who are running massive corporations and businesses. When I got out of ministry, 9 months, after I got out of ministry and I went into a medical device startup, I grew the company from $20 to $26 million in the first 18 months of that timeframe. Then I was like, they didn't give me enough responsibility. So then I went to the next thing. I went to Fortune 500. And so I then worked in Fortune 500. Then after that, I went to a startup in Boston. And so I'm working around power players, like dudes from HubSpot who are bringing me into their organizations. So when I work with an everyday entrepreneur, which is what I call them, but owner-led businesses, when I'm working with them, the caliber of the coaching that I bring is somebody you're going to spend $100,000 to $300,000 a year on. But I'm giving them that in a small dose, and in a small dose, I can make them infinitely clear. That's the power of it, of where they explain to me what's going on. I have so much pattern recognition from doing this. In over 215 companies, I can just go like, bam, 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 do this. But it comes through the angle of support, so it doesn't feel like orders. If I had a different personality and I wasn't such a confidant for people and that safe place for them to land and to have conversations about, what do I do parenting the kid? I've screwed up with my wife. I have the challenges happen in the business and I don't know how to lead this team member. There's a width of things that we can talk about, but they have to narrow their vision. And when you take all that scattered energy and you point it in one direction, it's incredibly powerful.
Hi, I'm Jason Miller. I'm the owner of Christian Brothers Automotive here in Spring Hill, Tennessee. We fix cars here, both European and domestic, from simple oil changes to complete engine rebuilds and replacements. Most important thing, though, is while you're waiting, we've got the best snack game in town, and we invite you to make yourself at home and get to know us, and we treat you like family. We're located right across the street from Walmart on Highway 31 right here in Spring Hill. Let us know that you heard about us on this ad, and we'll give you 10% off your next oil change. So stop on in and see us in downtown Spring Hill. Do we even have a downtown in Spring Hill?
That's exactly how I feel, scattered.
Yeah, scattered would be likely one of the primary pain points for them.
I mean, in the last couple of years, I've really delved into what my superpower is, which is podcast production, doing what I do. But still, it's you're finding, okay, what is our goal for the year? We don't do any of that. It's just basically you go into it with the best intentions, and all of a sudden, I lost somebody.
Here's the thing you just mentioned that I'm going to speak to, because a lot of guys say this: the best intentions. Right. That is actually not the best intention. Because if you measure that up against everything in your life that you're giving up, time, talent, stewardship of your capabilities, like God wired you as a unique individual to do something exceptional in the world. And so when you take intention and you apply God's formula to, I created you and put you in a place at such a time as this to be with these specific people who are praying and asking for your help individually. You just don't know it yet. All of a sudden, the conviction level starts going up. And that's like part of the secret sauce of momentum, is you've got to have conviction. I know beyond a shadow of a doubt that the shit that I've gone through, excuse my French, that God put me through it, allowed me to go through it, gave me the platform to go through it so I could help somebody else. Whether that's helping my kids, helping my community, helping my friends, helping these business owners. So I have walked with the limp forever, yet I'm healing people with limps. The wounded healer. That's part of the journey. I've just accepted it to be true. So the idea of the best intention, the best intention would be like, we are blocking out an entire day. And I don't care what it takes, but we're going to walk out of this room with 100% clarity. We will park it. And I don't care if we're here for a week. I learned this from Mike Dillard, who's an incredible guy in the marketing industry, who said, I will not solve a problem twice. I solve problems one time. I don't care if it takes me 40 hours. And I have to clear out my schedule. I have to miss all my kids' games. That's his version. I'm going to solve the problem. I'm going to solve it once. And that's how he had catalytic growth, absolutely insane levels of growth, because he didn't waste his time solving problems and patching bridges that just needed to be rebuilt. So the best intention would be saying, here's exactly what we're going to do. Here's what our goal is. And have someone, again, from a supportive angle, because people can be real jerks in this space of just like, why do you mean you don't know? I'm like, okay, that's okay. I get that. And it's not acceptable. We can do better, right? We can do better. Yes. Okay, cool. So a lot of this is too, it's future pacing. Like I don't just take them to the whiteboard or take them on an Excel sheet. I actually did this. I called the guy the other day. He's talking to me. He's so in his head, dude. He's all up here. And I'm just like, this is not going to work. So I said, all right, dude. So listen up. Here's the deal. This is going to sound weird, but I need you to do it. I need you to turn around your chair and I need you to close your eyes. He's like, what? I'm like, I need you to turn around your chair. I need you to close your eyes. Every answer that you're giving me is coming from your head. You're trying to figure out what I think you should say versus you just telling me the truth. So turn around your chair and I'll tell you when to kind of continue the conversation, but I need you to drop into your gut, which is where the answer lives. And he's like, okay. So he spins around his chair and he's just like sitting there awkwardly. And I'm like laughing on the other side because I'm like, oh my God. I've done it. Being in ministry, I understand how to get into different access points of someone's humanity to get the answers that you want. So he drops down into that space and I'm like, all right. So tell me is what you want to do. Or I said, so tell me what it is, the big problem that you're solving in the world. He's like, videos. And I'm like, bullshit. Sorry. What is the big problem that you're solving in the world? And he's like, well, I think I'm really, really good at communicating someone's vision. I'm like, okay, now we're getting somewhere. What do you mean by communicating someone's vision? And he's like, well, I've worked with some clients who really struggled to articulate what it is that they do. And I think I have a unique way of storytelling that. Okay, keep going. Who are these people? Well, the ones I've had the most amount of fun with are in the investment space. So they're like these growth startups that have investment dollars behind them. Okay, cool. What else? The CEO was the type of guy who kind of engineer brain. Let's call it that. Mm-hmm. So this is not a marketer. It's not a sales guy. This is an engineer brain. Okay, cool. And so I'm walking him down this path and all of a sudden he starts seeing, oh, wow. Like the thing that I love doing that I seem to be the best in the world at is helping startup companies create their pitch video so they can win investors over and basically get them to invest in the company. And I'm like, we get to this point and I go, now was that so hard? Yeah, after this is maybe 20 minutes of doing this future pacing thing. But what he thought he could write down or he could type out or he could learn from a course, I could do with him in 20 minutes. And then he's like, holy crap, dude, that's like the biggest moment of clarity I've ever had on what I should be focused on this season of my life. And I'm doing all these other things. And he's still doing really good revenue. I mean, you'd look at his company and be like, he's got it all figured out. Yeah, but dude, in marriage, till death do us part. Well, what happens if you're dead inside? The same thing happens in a business. These guys are like walking zombies with the weight of responsibility on their shoulders. And they got to show up for their family, show up for their clients, do all this stuff. And they are under an immense amount of pressure. They're super lonely and they're afraid that they're going to screw it all up. Like it's just, they're like just one mistake away from everything exploding. So I've just learned how to navigate because I've had to go through it. I've had to watch other people go through it. And that's where I really, obviously you can see this is where I really come alive and have a lot of fun with people. But to watch their success, I think is one of the most incredible things. If you ask me, what's your methodology? What's your mode of operation? I'm like, I don't know. There's a lot of unconscious competence in there. I've done it a lot. I've made a lot of people a lot of money. But I will say that it is in the instant awareness for me to be able to temp check them and to spot check and know when they're talking a line of crap or they're in their head or when they're telling me the truth. I had one guy reach out and say, I don't know. I scrolled past your posts and God told me, if you don't reach out to this guy, you're going to screw everything up. You need help. So just ask for help. So that's why I say, like, I don't know. I just show up. I take care of the people God puts in front of me, but that's the big part.
Do you feel like a weight on your shoulders when God is impressing something upon you or wants you to do something?
Not anymore.
Okay, so once upon a time you did, though.
I think in a way, it was probably a projection from my father. So he went from being drug dealer to then working for my grandfather and then 30 years of ministry. So my dad always wanted me to be your typical pastor. And there was a weight to that, but there was also like, I'm kind of have bull energy in a way, and I've learned how to tame it. But it's like when someone tries to get me to do something specific and kind of projects too hard, I buck really hard. Mm-hmm. So Christine knows what I'm talking about. So yeah, that's been a part of the journey, but not anymore. I actually find it easier to just do what God tells me to do. Well, that's what I mean is I whenever I had scenarios in my life where I felt like God was trying to tell me to do something right then and there. Yeah, it was as fast as you can. Mm-hmm. Like an amount of weight on my shoulders. And there was, of course, nothing there perceivably, but I could feel it. And as soon as I actually did whatever he wanted me to do, it was like, I mean, I kid you not. It was that real. Yeah. I would assume that a lot of people feel that way when they have that close relationship with God and they're like, man, I gotta do this thing. Like this is something that's being impressed on my heart and I got to go do it. The speed at which I act when I know that God's telling me to do something is so insanely fast. I think that's why I remember the day literally that happened, that shift happened. And there was these guys outside of my house in Colorado. And I was just like, just go give them, they're like landscaper guys, just go give them $100. Like all of them. There's like 3 or 4 guys out there. And I'm like, oh no, I don't want to do that. Like, what are they going to think? What is it? Blah, blah, blah. And then it's just like, dude, just shut up and do it. And so I just go, okay. So I just grab the stuff, go out there, do it. And they were super grateful. You know, it always feels good to help somebody else. You know, what God reminded me of is like, your highest desire is to be generous. Like generosity is the mode that you were created in. So it was a reminder of like the weightiness only comes when there's doubt or disobedience, meaning I don't know if I can, I don't know if that's actually God, and or I really don't want to do that. And I'm going to find my way out of this. But I think that relief comes when you do it, just like anything else in life. The hard things at the beginning, the things that feel hard, you always feel better after. But the things that you do that feel easy, like if you know you shouldn't eat ice cream at night and eat ice cream, you always pay for it later. And so there is that format of like, if you do the hard thing fast, go work out this morning. Okay, day's been great today. Had I not, I would have carried around the weight of not doing it. So again, it comes down to the idea of choose your hard.
Well, a lot of it is the endorphin release when you go and work out. I mean, I do a lot of bike riding. I don't know if I brought it up in this one. We talked about the e-biker gangs.
Yeah.
But basically, I tried it out one time in the morning and I felt great the entire day. And I'm like, why don't I do this more often? And it's literally just get out of bed, put your shoes on, put your shorts on, put all your stuff on, and get past the first 2 minutes.
For real, man. Yep.
It really is. That's the only obstacle. Just do it.
My mentor, Dave Meltzer, talks about it a lot. Sometimes the easiest things are the hardest to do.
It's very true. I mean, one of the tenets of the Dream Motor Group, they have a quiver of arrows, and one of them is do the right thing, not the easy thing.
Yeah.
And man, that'd stick out.
Oh yeah.
It doesn't mean it's probably going to be a harder thing to do.
Oh, for sure.
But it's still the right thing to do.
Yeah.
And we all intrinsically know what that is.
Oh yeah. Yeah, that's very true, man.
Whether or not we admit it.
Yeah.
So how do people find and follow you? What is it that you want to do more of?
Yeah. I mean, I think provided.
What's your goal? What's your clarity?
Yeah. I mean, at the end of the day, I know that there are a lot of business owners out there who are silently suffering and going through a lot, and they feel ashamed to ask for help. Dave Meltzer, who I was just speaking about earlier, he said the greatest compliment that you can give anyone is to ask for help. And the basis of that foundation of truth in my life is that when you ask someone else for help, you enable them to leverage all of their God-given talents and capabilities and experiences to make your life better. So why wouldn't you ask for help? And I'm like, not everybody's a client. It doesn't mean you can't ask for help. Just ask for help. Just speak up, because this is why we're here. God gave us each other so that we could help one another. I mean, that's the whole point. Be a good neighbor, help somebody out. I used to wear a shirt all the time, say, be a good person. It's just the mantra of life. So I think the tragedy is that when people suffer in silence and they're alone and they know they need help, but they're too ashamed, their ego's too big, whatever, fine, take your time. And when you're ready, then you can come back. But I think that's the greatest gift that I can give to people, is to stand in the gap, and in many ways between where they're at today and where they want to go. I truly believe I'm one of the best people in the world at that. I've watched the success. I've watched the tape. I've seen it. I'm passionate about it. And I fought it. You know, those things you fight in your life when you're like, for a decade, you're like, I still am not allowing myself to fully go all in on this thing. That's how you know that's the thing you should do. It's I've seen it in my own life again. But so that's the main thing. I think people who are trying to guess what to do next in their business, and it doesn't matter if you're doing $1 million a year, or you're doing $100,000 a year, or you're doing, $100,000 or $100 million a year. It doesn't make a difference because there's a lot of different areas of support that can come through. So I think that's the primary thing, where people can find me anywhere online at Nick Cavuoto and nickcavuoto.com. I have a cool profit audit for people on there who are trying to figure out what are the next 3 levers that I can pull to make my business move forward. I just created it, so it's kind of top of mind, but if you just go on there, you'll see it right at the top of the page.
And if you're blessing with somebody else, asking them for help, make sure you actually follow through with it.
Yeah.
Because there's nothing more frustrating to any coach or I'm in a similar position where I talk to a lot of people.
Yeah.
And you just know what they need to do.
Yeah.
And sometimes they just don't do it. And it's like, well, I mean, I'm still having, well, okay, I told you what to do the last time. How's that working out for you?
Yeah.
I told you the train is coming down the tracks. Get off the tracks. You're still on the tracks.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. There's my mentor used to say, don't be an ask hole. And that's where you ask for help and then you don't do what they tell you to do. Yeah. I would say truly that the greatest celebration for a coach, consultant, for a mentor, for an advisor is to see other people win. I mean, think about a basketball coach. They're not playing in the game, but they see the hard work and everything that everyone collectively has put in, and they get to be a part of that celebrating. So yeah. So I wouldn't say my glory days are over, meaning I'm only coaching from the sidelines, but in the same way, even though I'm 39, I've always aged up about 10 to 15 years. Like all my friends are in their 50s.
Yeah.
So it's just kind of funny when I look at life. And I started when I was 19. So, just much, much earlier than most entrepreneurs who might just be getting started. So I appreciate you having me here, man.
Of course, man.
Yeah. This needs to happen for a long
first time we're meeting.
Yeah.
Enjoyed it very much so.
Same, man.
There's a lot of good information here. And of course, anybody listening, you want to share it out, make sure you send them to mmtbp.com. It's a really truncated version of the original website, mostly Middle Tennessee Business Podcast.com. Much, much longer to type out. So you have a nice truncated version, mmtbp.com. Of course, everything will be in the description, all the different links that you can connect with Nick. Make sure you do. Awesome to meet you, buddy.
You too, brother. Thank you.